What's up guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, then welcome to our little corner of the internet. Today we're traveling once again to Atlanta, the state with the never-ending traffic and where apparently more people reside than in the whole of my own country, which is still wild. Today we're going to be watching a video titled 10 lesser known Atlanta facts even locals don't know. So guys, let me know in the comments below if you knew these facts, and without further ado, let's see what this video is about.
Did you know that Atlanta has more streets named Peachtree than most cities have streets? That hiding inside its suburbs is a granite wilderness hosting plants found nowhere else on Earth? And that Atlanta quietly produces more Hollywood content per year than almost any city on the planet? Atlanta's most
In fact, I did not know.
extraordinary stories are never the ones on the postcard. The deeper you look, the stranger and more remarkable this city becomes. So get ready, because today we are uncovering 20 lesser-known but genuinely astonishing facts about why Atlanta belongs at the very top of your travel list. Fact 20. Most people drive past Arabia Mountain on Interstate 20 without a second glance. That is a mistake. This bare granite dome 15 miles southeast of downtown is part of a 40,000-acre National Heritage Area.
Did it just say bears? Did I hear that right? I had to check if my bear ears are at hand. They are.
And its surface hosts some of the rarest plant species in North America. Tiny solution pits carved into the rock fill with rainwater and create microhabitats for plants like the pool sprite, a flowering aquatic species found almost nowhere else on Earth. In winter, a succulent called Diamorpha turns the entire granite surface a deep, dramatic red. It looks like another planet. It is free to visit.
Diamorpha. Diamorpha sounds like some type of exotic disease.
And almost nobody goes. Fact 19.
Looks beautiful though.
Atlanta has over 71 roads with Peachtree in their name. Peachtree Street, Peachtree Road,
Why?
Peachtree Battle Avenue, Peachtree Dunwoody Road, and dozens more, all running in completely different directions with no logical connection to one another. The confusion is so legendary that emergency dispatchers routinely ask callers which Peachtree they are on. It all traces back to a single Cherokee village called Standing Peachtree near the Chattahoochee River. Early developers just kept reaching for the same name, again and again and again. For visitors, navigating 71 peach trees is its own kind of adventure. Wrong turns here have a way of becoming accidental discoveries.
Oh.
Fact 18. The Fernbank Forest
I'm so bad at navigating with the car in as a whole that I would probably get so lost there. It's... I can...
attached to Atlanta's Natural History Museum has never been logged,
Wow.
never been cleared, and never been meaningfully disturbed by human hands. All 65 acres of it. That makes it the largest urban old-growth forest remaining in the entire eastern United States. The trees here were mature before the Civil War. The canopy is so dense it blocks out the city entirely. Barred owls call in broad daylight. Trillium covers the forest floor every spring. That this ancient woodland survived intact inside a metropolitan area of 6 million people is not just remarkable, it is frankly improbable. Fact 17. Georgia has surpassed California in total film production spending in multiple recent years, and Atlanta is the reason why. Marvel, Netflix, Disney, HBO, and virtually every major studio has filmed here. Avengers, Stranger Things, The Walking Dead, Ozark, and hundreds of other globally recognized productions were shot on Atlanta streets and in Georgia sound stages. Tyler Perry Studios alone occupies a 338...
You guys always say that I live under a rock. Well, I say that too because I do. But I have watched Stranger Things and The Walking Dead. I really enjoyed The Walking Dead. I wasn't really happy about... Okay, this is not a video about The Walking Dead, but that's cool.
campus on a former military base and is the first major film studio in history fully owned by a black filmmaker. Atlanta has become the backdrop for an enormous percentage of the stories the entire world watches on screens. Hollywood of the South is not a nickname anymore. It is simply accurate. Before continuing, be sure to subscribe and leave a like to keep discovering the incredible hidden stories of America's most fascinating cities. Fact 16. Zoo Atlanta is one of only 4 zoos in the entire United States trusted by China to house giant pandas. Every panda in the world is owned by China and loaned out as a form of international diplomacy. So that short list is a genuine distinction.
Wow.
The zoo also maintains the largest population of western lowland gorillas of any zoo in North America.
Is that how they keep them in there? Because that doesn't that does not look safe. They're free. I mean, what even is this? I hope that's not the actual. That can't be. That can't be. Imagine walking like right here.
Central to primate research shared by scientists worldwide. You can visit a zoo in any city.
They look pretty chill,
You can
though.
visit a panda habitat and a world-class gorilla research center in very
A panda is a bear. Wait.
few. One of them is in Atlanta. Fact 15. The Jimmy Carter Presidential Library sits on a wooded
Wait, I might have panda ears now. Hold on. In fact, I do.
hilltop above downtown and contains one of the most unexpectedly powerful museum experiences in the country. The full-scale Oval Office replica alone is worth the visit, but what makes the place genuinely extraordinary is what it documents beyond the presidency. Carter's post-presidential career, monitoring elections across the developing world, negotiating in conflict zones, building homes with Habitat for Humanity, and leading public health campaigns that have pushed diseases toward eradication, is widely considered the most consequential post-presidency in American history. The museum tells both stories. The Japanese garden surrounding it, reflecting in the lake below, makes the whole hilltop feel like a place designed specifically for thinking slowly. Fact 14. The Varsity near Georgia Tech is the world's largest drive-in restaurant and has been since 1928. It covers 2 full city blocks, seats 800 people inside.
Is there different types of driving restaurants than fast food? I mean, this is fast food too, right? Yeah, it looks like hamburgers and hot dogs. There's maybe 3 different types of drive-through restaurants in where I live. I live in Spain, by the way, not Finland, but I think there's 3 in total.
Handles 600 cars in its drive-in lanes simultaneously, and on Georgia Tech game days has served 30,000 customers in a single day. The menu has barely changed in a century. Chili dogs, onion rings, frosted oranges, and the bark of "What'll you have?" from countermen who mean it. The speed of the kitchen operates less like a restaurant and more like a controlled industrial event. It is a genuine American original that exists nowhere else on Earth, and it has been running longer than most countries' current governments. Fact 13. Ponce City Market was the largest building in the American South when Sears built it in 1926 as its regional headquarters. At 2.1 million square feet, it housed a retail operation, city government offices, a post office, and a police precinct, a city inside a building. When Sears left in the 1980s, it sat vacant for 30 years. The restoration that turned it into Atlanta's most beloved food hall preserved every original brick wall, steel column, and freight elevator shaft, completely intact. The rooftop now has an amusement park. The Beltline runs directly below the western
What?
facade. Old bones, entirely new life. Fact 12. Inman Park was Atlanta's first planned suburb, laid out in the 1880s along the city's first electric streetcar line, and then it nearly vanished entirely. By the mid-20th century, its Victorian mansions had been carved into rooming houses, and the interstate had bypassed the neighborhood into irrelevance. What happened next was one of the earliest urban preservation movements in the American South. Young residents started buying the wrecked Victorians for almost nothing and restoring them by hand in the late 1960s. Today, Inman Park is one of the most architecturally intact Victorian neighborhoods in the entire Southeast, a canopied street of painted houses that looks essentially as it did 140 years ago, because enough people decided it was worth saving before it was too late. Fact 11. The Wren's Nest in Atlanta's West End neighborhood is where Joel Chandler Harris lived and wrote the Brer Rabbit stories, collecting the African-American oral folk tradition he encountered as a young man and bringing it to a global audience beginning in 1880. The gingerbread Victorian cottage, named after a family of wrens Harris refused to evict from his mailbox, is the oldest house museum in Atlanta. Today it sits in one of the city's most creatively vibrant neighborhoods, still hosting storytelling performances rooted in the original oral tradition Harris documented. The house is tiny. The history inside it is enormous. Before we get to the 10 facts that will genuinely surprise even people who think they already know Atlanta.
I love this. I love antique furniture and everything. It's just I don't know, that's just to think that so many people have sat on that. Some people just thought that was normal to have chairs like that. I mean, it is normal, but they just look so antique and so beautiful. Everything's so simple now, but that was someone's furniture one day, just regular furniture. That's cool.
Remember to subscribe to the channel and give it a like.
Again?
So we can keep exploring the hidden layers of America's most surprising cities. Fact 10. The Emory University. Carlos Museum holds the largest collection of ancient Egyptian artifacts in the entire American Southeast, including mummies, among the oldest preserved
Oh,
human
no.
remains
No.
displayed anywhere in the Western Hemisphere.
No.
It sits on a university campus.
No. I don't like corpses in a museum. I don't care if it's a mummy. Oh, no. Oh my God. Why? Why? Why would you do that?
In a quiet residential neighborhood, known thoroughly to academics and almost entirely unknown to the wider world. The building, designed by Michael Graves in travertine and limestone, looks borrowed from Rome. The collection inside it is extraordinary. Admission is a suggested donation. Most people visiting Atlanta will never know it exists, which means the ones who find it get it almost entirely to themselves. Fact 9. Ted Turner launched CNN from Atlanta on June 1st, 1980, and nearly every major media figure in America considered it either a joke or a financial catastrophe in progress.
Wow, look at that truck. I've recently been dreaming about having a G-Wagon once again. My dream has resurfaced. Now it has to have pink rims. And matte black or pink.
Continuous 24-hour television news had never been attempted. Within a decade, it had restructured how the entire world consumed information.
That
The
looks
CNN
massive.
studio tour lets visitors walk above the active newsroom floor on a glass-walled walkway. Watching journalists and
Wow.
producers working live broadcasts in real time directly below, there is no simulation, no recreation. It is the actual working headquarters of a global news operation, visible and in motion. And Atlanta is the city where the whole idea was born. Fact 8. Kennesaw Mountain
cool.
National Battlefield Park rises from Atlanta's northern suburbs as a forested hiking destination that most visitors do not realize also contains some of the most complete surviving Civil War earthworks anywhere in the country. The hand-dug trenches, cannon positions, and fortifications built by both armies in the summer of 1864 are still physically intact under the forest, preserved for more than 160 years. Standing in those original trenches on the summit, looking south toward a skyline the Confederate defenders could not have imagined, with the earthworks still rising around your feet, is one of those experiences where history stops being abstract and becomes something you can actually touch. Fact 7. The Sweet Auburn Curb Market has operated continuously since 1918, making it one of the oldest public markets in the American South and one of the most undervisited food experiences in Atlanta. Originally established as a segregated market where black vendors were restricted to outdoor curb stalls, it has been revitalized into a genuine food hall with vendors representing the full breadth of Atlanta's culinary diversity, from traditional soul food to West African cuisine to handmade pastries. It sits on the same Auburn Avenue corridor as the Martin Luther King Jr. Historic Site.
Buy your whole pigs here. Do you buy a whole do people actually buy a whole pig? I mean, yeah. You know what is it does any of you do the thing where you put the whole pig on the table and then put a apple in its mouth? I don't know. Ooh, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. But is that what you use whole pigs for?
In a neighborhood that is
How do
simultaneously
you even
one of the
cook
most
that?
historically significant streets in American history and one of the most actively alive in modern Atlanta. Fact 6. The Porsche Experience Center near Hartsfield-Jackson Airport is the only facility of its kind in North America. A 53-acre purpose-built driving campus with a handling circuit, off-road track, wet handling area, and low-friction surface where anyone, not just Porsche owners, can spend a day learning car control with professional instructors behind the wheel of the company's current lineup. It exists nowhere else on this continent.
Wow.
The fact that it sits adjacent to one of the world's busiest airports means you can fly into Atlanta, spend a day driving on a professional track, and fly home the same evening. Few cities offer anything remotely like this as a casual Tuesday activity. Fact 5. Oakland Cemetery was founded in 1850 and holds Margaret Mitchell, Bobby Jones, more than 3,000 Confederate soldiers, and one of the finest collections of Victorian funerary architecture surviving in the American South, all on 88 canopied acres minutes from downtown. The marble mausoleums in Gothic and Egyptian revival styles, the ancient magnolias arching over the lanes, and the Atlanta skyline rising above the treetops create an atmosphere of stillness almost impossible to find anywhere else in a city this active. Oakland hosts an annual picnic festival that draws thousands of Atlantans into the cemetery grounds each spring. A city comfortable enough with its own history to throw a party inside its oldest cemetery is a city worth understanding. Fact 4. Historic Fourth Ward Park solved a flooding crisis, and accidentally created one of Atlanta's most beloved public spaces in the process. For decades, the neighborhood flooded catastrophically during heavy rains. The solution built a 1.5-acre retention pond capable of holding 4.5 million gallons of stormwater, then wrapped an entire park around it with a splash pad, amphitheater, and green lawns running down to the water.
That looks beautiful. It looks very, very like futuristic.
The belt line runs along its edge. The flooding stopped. The park became one of the most used outdoor spaces in in-town Atlanta. When a city chooses to solve an infrastructure problem by building something beautiful rather than merely functional, and it actually works, that is worth a visit. Fact 3. Chateau Elan is a working winery 35 miles north of Atlanta producing estate wines on 3,500 acres of Georgia Piedmont. And it has been winning international competitions since the 1980s. The European-style chateau, the rolling vineyard landscape, the Blue Ridge foothills on the horizon, and the resort facilities surrounding it create an experience that looks and feels nothing like anything else in the American South. Close enough to Atlanta for a day trip, extraordinary enough to justify staying the weekend. The fact that serious wine is being produced in Georgia still surprises most people who visit. The wine itself is what convinces them to stay. Fact 2, the Goat Farm Arts Center is 12 acres of 19th century cotton gin buildings in West Midtown that have been converted into artist studios, performance spaces, and creative workspaces without being cleaned up or made to look like anything other than what they are. The brick walls are dark with industrial history. The floors are original wood, worn to the grain. Wild chickens roam the grounds. Resident goats occupy a barn near the entrance. Cats drift between buildings as if they own them. On evenings when the goat farm hosts performances, with fire lighting the outdoor spaces, in the city skyline visible above the ancient roof lines, the atmosphere is unlike anything else in Atlanta. It is proof that this city's best character has always lived in the things it chose to keep. Fact 1. The Atlanta University Center is the largest consortium of historically black colleges and universities in the world, bringing together Morehouse, Spelman, Clark Atlanta, and Morehouse School of Medicine on a shared campus in the city's historic West End. Martin Luther King Jr. graduated from Morehouse. Spelman has been ranked among the top liberal arts colleges in the United States for decades. The concentration of black academic excellence, activist history, and intellectual tradition on these campuses has shaped American culture, politics, medicine, and literature in ways that are still unfolding. Walking between Morehouse and Spelman, past the buildings where some of the most significant figures of the 20th century were educated, carries a weight that no other college campus in this country can match. Now that you know these 20 lesser-known but extraordinary facts about Atlanta, tell us which one surprised you most, or which one has you planning a trip. We would love to read your thoughts in the comments, and let's see how many of us land on the same answer. For more hidden stories and incredible geography from across America, the video on your screen right now is exactly where to go next. But before you click away, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give it a like. Otherwise, we may never see each other again.
Ugh, that was too much, man. But this video was really interesting, but it felt more like a tour video, you know, like places you should visit than anything else. But it's still super interesting. I want to go to the CNN place. Oh, I want to ride a Porsche too. These are really cool places to visit. I don't know about the Mummy though. But yeah, let me know in the comments below if you knew these places. Have you visited? Thank you for joining me for this video. Please leave a like once again. Subscribe if you haven't yet. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!